All right, welcome back to the second season of Talking Tea. We're covering Andor Season 2, Episode 1. 1 year later is the title. If you guys haven't remembered, my name's Eric, and as always, drinking tea, going with a vanilla chai. Kick it over to Aaron. What are we drinking?
I am drinking a Japanese cherry green tea with some honey from the West Virginia State Honey Festival.
Wow, coming in hot early. Way to set the tone on this season with your tea. Love that. Connor, what are we drinking?
I'm going to go grab some filtered water in just a second.
Okay, filtered water. And Skylar, bring us home. What are we drinking?
As always, I have a bottle of Diet Coke, fully caffeinated.
A bottle. Plastic bottle.
Plastic bottle. Great for the environment.
That's what they say. That is what they say. So as you guys might notice, if you are listening, if you're not listening, if you are watching, we're playing a different game. So we're going to see how this treats us. Obviously, it's a little bit more intense with what we are typically dealing with, but hey, we'll give it a shot and see how it works. So let me read our summary of what's going on. So 1 year later, Rebel agent Cassian Andor goes undercover as a test pilot to steal the experimental Tie Avenger, successfully flying the Imperial craft to a jungle moon. But once at the rendezvous point, Cassian finds himself caught in the crossfire of a conflict erupting between the stranded rebels from the Mayape Brigade, a desperate rebel cell. Meanwhile, B2EMO, Bix, Colleen, Brasso, and Wilman Pack have eked out a humble life among the farmers of the agricultural world of Myarau. And while Senator Mon Mothma and Perrian Firtha, didn't know that was his last name, prepare for their daughter's wedding on Chandrila, director Orson Krennic, an ambitious and loyal servant of the Empire, hosts a secret meeting with key members of the Imperial Security Bureau to discuss the planet Ghorman. Oh man, we got a lot to unpack as we get started with some fresh faces, stuff we are certainly interested in. Let's start with just the beginning, the BB4. Does anyone know what that meant, BB4? Or BBY4. BBY4. BBY4.
Yeah.
Oh, I did. Battle of Yavin or something?
Yes, it's
Yes.
Battle of Yavin 4, or Battle of Yavin, or before. So it's 4 years before the Battle of Yavin. Does everyone remember what the Battle of Yavin was?
It's the end of the Empire, alleged.
Well, sort of, kind of, right? So we have, that is when the first, I believe that's when the first Death Star blew up. Am I correct, or is that the second Death Star that blew up?
I thought it was the second.
Someone's going to have to fact check that one, I guess. I was thinking it was the first, but it might be. You're right. It is probably the second one. Because Yavin... No, it's the first one. It is 100% the first one. Yavin was the first one. Like, pretty certain about that. Anyone have thoughts on that one? Am I wrong? Are we wrong about that one? This is giving plenty of time to Google for anyone that has the chance to look over it. But
Let's see.
Battle. I was thinking it was the second one, but I could be wrong.
It is the first Death Star.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, the first Death Star. So they are. Yes, I wrote in my notes when the Death Star went boom, part 1. So this is 4 years before that. So we are getting pretty close to not only the Battle of Yavin, but also the Death Star plans being stolen. So that is going to be, our timeline. We are 4 years before that. So we are on Sinar, and we get to see our first visual of Andor. He's in his pilot suit. and he's meeting with Naya, who we get to figure out pretty quick is just conspiring against the Empire. So Cassian is ready to steal the ship. The ship essentially is ready to roll. The password for it is Kafrene. Does anyone know anything about Kafrene?
Nope.
No clue.
Yeah, I think I didn't know anything about it looking at it. I didn't know if there was something I was missing, if that was an Easter egg for Star Wars somewhere that maybe I had missed, but I just wanted to include that. But Naya is going through the process of betraying the Empire, and she's wondering, is it worth it? She's so scared, and Cassian gives her that, absolute great talking speech of you'll never feel right unless you're doing what you can to stop the Empire. So kind of seeing his full transition from just to being about himself to now at this beginning of season 2, hey, it's everyone against the Empire. We're doing everything for the collective good. So Cassian gets the key, and he walks in, and he absolutely shoots this evil-looking droid right in the face. Anyone know what this droid is? As droid identification experts, I was at a loss, actually. I couldn't tell what this droid was.
Yeah, never seen that one.
I was also at a loss.
I think it's a fusion droid.
Hey, I think you're right.
When I was looking at the fusion droid, right when he shot it too at the very end, it looked like right in the middle of the droid was an ID-10.
That's what I said. Yes.
I was like, I think it's an ID-10 fusion.
I agree. I said cross between ID-10 and other droids, but I didn't know what else. So yes, okay, on the same page. So we get into the Tie Avenger. If you don't know, this is the first time we've seen a Tie Avenger on the actual screen, like the TV screen. Never in a movie, never in a screen. Apparently it was in a old video game from the 90s, but we've never seen the Tie Avenger. This is different, of course, than the regular TIE fighters from a few different things. One being it has a full interior. So we don't usually see our TIE fighters have anything more than just a regular old cockpit that you can dive into, nothing more, nothing less. And this one can fit multiple people, fully available. And did you guys notice anything different about this TIE fighter versus our regular TIE fighters?
The steering seems to be different.
Yep. That's what I was going to say.
Steering is massively different. Yes, absolutely.
All the buttons are moved.
Yes.
Which is hilarious that he would even be able to start it up and get it out of there. Especially as we learned later, there's no manual. It's a test pilot program. So, don't know how he figured that out.
Yeah, but he gets in and he immediately looks stunned by this ship, to say the least. He's looking around, he turns on the photon blaster, he turns on the turrets, he turns on the engines. Did anyone think this was going to go well?
So on this one, I want to backtrack just a touch. When we started the episode here, I absolutely loved the beginning.
Perfect.
I mean, we were right in the thick of it. What was this, Skyler?
I thought you were going to reference that our very first map that we play on a new game is Tea Time.
Oh.
You guys didn't catch that? The name of the first map we played was Tea Time.
I did not catch that.
No, I did not. No. But I love that we were right in the thick of it. I also really like that that the girl that was helping Cassian, Nina. I really like that she was she was super scared, and Cassian, he was his pep talk, he was all in, he is fully committed to the cause now, and it was nice to see that. And then Cassian, I wrote that he is a true believer now. He is all in to the cause. And then whenever he got in the plane, I just immediately started laughing. I was like, didn't he in season 1 say, I can fly anything? I'm like, this is a classic I lied on my resume, because he has no idea what he is doing. And then later I find out that he's never been in it before and all this, but I was just laughing at him. And then to get out, he's just shooting the entire hangar doors. I'm like, oh yeah, subtlety is not our strength here. I was just dying.
He seems kind of like he does not get it figured out pretty quick. Oh, well, I guess you could say relatively he does get it figured out quick. But yeah, he turns everything on, and I'm like, maybe he's got this all figured out. And then absolutely not. He just goes straight backwards. So, and that's one of the mechanics you hate about like video games, right? Is whenever the flying's inverted, I hate when that happens. Like, whenever you're supposed to, when you push forward and it takes you backwards, that's exactly what happens. He pushes forward, and it goes right backwards. So, he is stuck. All the stormtroopers are like, what's going on in here? And they just start shooting him. One of the big things that you probably notice about the Tie Avenger, bulletproof, like, very much more bulletproof. That the shooting and him crashing would not do any damage versus, like, a regular Tie fighter. So, they start shooting at him, doing nothing, and he starts firing at the turret, and they don't dive for cover or do anything. Those stormtroopers just get absolutely mowed over. So not the brightest bulbs that we're working with, but at least they try. Except for we get our guy with the bazooka. He is ready to roll. He is stationed at the front, and what do you know? He shoots the first bazooka at the ship, 10, 20 feet away, and misses. I'm like, come on, dude. You got to be kidding me. How do you miss that? I don't know if anyone else thought that the aiming was pretty porous at best with that situation, but he misses.
I wasn't very shocked.
Yeah, the stormtrooper. The stormtrooper, yeah, he misses and then gets absolutely torpedo blasted. Like, not just like we see him die, he gets burnt alive. Like, he is completely, like, not a person anymore. So, I don't know. Interesting thought. And then Cassian, as Connor said, blows the door open by shooting it a bunch, dives out. He, of course, loses a... Oh, I gotta mention this. His gun stops shooting randomly right before he has to shoot the guy with the turret. I thought that was good TV adversity. They're like, oh, let's just make it not working. But he gets away. I really wanted to emphasize the camera angle on this. I enjoy the first-person angle that you kind of see with... like him flying the ship. I don't know if you guys noticed that, like how he's kind of maneuvering in and out. I thought that was really good camera work. And then in Cassian true fashion, he shoots the cliff and dives out of the way. Makes it completely fine while the other guys are essentially destroyed. So a nice little poetic or chaotic beginning to the series is that little getaway. Nonetheless, we get away from there and we go to the new planet that we later find out is Minarao, and we see this first-person POV, and I was like, this is a weird kind of situation. So we see Will Pack sleeping. That calls back to Nemec sleeping on guard. You see B2 sleeping. Brasso, he's found someone. Talia, of course, how could anyone resist a guy like Brasso? And then the mirror hits, and that music turns, and you see Dr. Gorst. That was chilling. I don't know if anyone else felt that, but it then changes. So once we're in the mirror, it changes from a first-person POV to his POV, and we get to see like him ripping the blankets off Bix and seeing how she is essentially still haunted by this. She's still having nightmares. She's still having terrors from the first season. Now he tormented her. Anyone have any thoughts on this, like this visual?
I was really confused at the start of it. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, wait, isn't this guy like the torturer or something from like back on the home planet where Cassian was? But I thought it was really good play because it put us right in the dream, except we were the villain at this point in the first person, if I understood it correctly at least.
That's the way I took it. That, it was just giving us that perspective of what, kind of throwing us off on what's going on. Skylar or Aaron, any thoughts?
At the very beginning, I was like, I couldn't tell if it was real or not. Like, it felt really real, but then also like, how a dream feels real, but then it doesn't feel real at the same time when it like keeps switching perspectives back and forth. I was like, are they just doing like camera work, or is this actually happening? You know. But then obviously she pretty quickly wakes up. But I think it just shows her like mindset and what she's kind of dealing with.
Yeah, we do get to see from this that Cassian has found them. That B says he'll want to know about this. So for the last year, he's been there living, jumping back and forth. Which I wonder how he found them. We never know, but it's an interesting thought that he did end up finding them right away. So we'll go over to Chandrila. One of my favorite sequences. Aaron, you are a big camera angle guy, I feel like. So I feel like you will enjoy this. You'll maybe have some thoughts on this. But we get to see Lita at first having all the girls walk single file covering their eyes. How did they know where they were walking? Were they just listening to the steps? Like the girls in the way back, how are they? Like they're not walking straight lines. So they're covering their eyes, but they're also like supposedly maneuvering through this entire environment. And you can't say, well, they had her close their eyes right before. They're walking on a curve. Everything is a circle in Chandrila. Don't know if that's means anything or not. But I don't know how they did that. I thought that was an interesting thing. I don't know if anyone thought about that. But you can see the wedding is on. The betrothal did happen with Scaldin and them. And we get to see the wedding. Well, we will get to see the wedding, I assume. So we change from that and we get to see the continuous camera work. Aaron, did you notice this camera angle when we go to the guest arriving?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Skylar or Connor, any thoughts? Did you notice the camera work here?
I did not.
I did not notice the camera work, but I did call the wedding dress. Like, because as soon as I saw her in blue, I was like, oh, she's still in blue. But she's like, follow me. And I immediately was like, I bet she's going to go show the wedding dress. And Emily and I were watching it. And like, when we like go into the room and it's like the main thing on display, I scream, the dress! I was like, I was right!
You knew it. This man knows. Yep. Yeah, you nailed it, man. So this shot, when all the guests are coming, is a continuous shot. There's no changing back and forth. It's 3 minutes and 20 seconds of continuous shooting, that entire scene. So not that that seems that long, but usually you get a cut back and forth to see the face of someone else. Not this. You get the entire shot of Mon working through, meeting people, handling problems. Skylar, I will go to you first. Favorite interaction that you recall from this shot, because there's a lot going on in these situations. I just wonder what your thought is on this little scene and what you took from it.
You come back to me. Let me go last.
All right, Connor.
I thought it was really good, but my favorite one was definitely Luthen, because Luthen has he's acting, he's got his act on, he's doing great, and then like he gets a split second to talk to her, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Hey, I was invited, so check yourself." And I found that hilarious. So Luthen was my favorite exchange, but I did like her telling Perrin, "He's your friend, you figure him out. I don't want to deal with it."
Yeah, Perrin was funny. Perrin has to do something eventually. Jeez.
Yeah.
Aaron,
so
any
that
thoughts?
was my notes.
Yeah, I was probably gonna say punchable Perrin. I love that we're like getting more of him again, because we haven't seen him in a while. It feels like.
Not since
that whole like exchange was funny.
Yeah, not since we were seeing him gamble away, allegedly, all those things. But yeah, so you get to see Sordo and his wife come, Perrin's uncle. I think there's a lot of a lot of interesting meanings here. All the dialogue is there for a purpose. So the first shot, Mon tells the uncle's wife, like, you look younger every season. And she says, how effortlessly you lie. And I'm like, that line's not there on accident. Mon continuously lies effortlessly, and I thought that's a great little like interesting part right at the beginning, like, oh, how you effortlessly lie. And I'm like, yeah she does, not in the way you think. And then we get Governor Cloven. He has his big ship, he's parking in 2 spots.
Yeah.
Someone key that thing. Someone key that ship. Don't take up 2 spots. Don't be that person. I hate those people. Do not park in 2 spots. I don't care if no one's around you or not. It drives me insane. And then Mon, so she's going through that, and then immediately her face turns to absolute dread. And I think she does such a great job in this, because she starts to walk faster, but then people would walk by, and she changes her tune. She smiles. She's pleasant. You know, she's lying, effortlessly lying to people as they go by. And then we see Vel, and she has new hair. I don't like the new hair. She asks who is here, and then I get so annoyed at this. Vel, she says, "Did you see who's here?" And Vel looks down. You couldn't see Luthen the way she looked. Luthen's around the corner, so she looks down like she can see him. She can't see him. That's a lie. Vel, again, acting like she's so important. Drives me nuts. And then we see Tay. He says, "Hey, I need to meet you. It's not urgent, but of course it seems very urgent." And then we see Luthen. He's arrived, much to her dismay of what's going on. She seems deeply disturbed with this situation. And she says, like, Scoldon's like, "Hey, Luthen, don't say anything. Don't give it away." And what does she say? "He's terrible at keeping secrets." Luthen says, "Oh, yeah. I've been practicing. I've been practicing."
That was funny, yeah.
I'm like, yep, there is, again, just going over and over, thinking about this act of lying and how it works. And then I say, and Kleya is back. Connor, how do we feel about Kleya?
As soon as I saw her, I immediately went, "I'm watching you."
Yep. We are, if you don't know, you'll have to check the reference to the last episode, but Aaron...
I think that was actually off camera.
No, it was right at the end.
It on? It was on, wasn't it?
It was right at the end. So Aaron put into our ears to be watching Kleya, aka Connor's fairy character. So now we are all on the lookout for her. So he's excited to see what she does in season 2, which translated for us, she is evil. So we're watching her. So they find out with Cassian, he made a clean break, but Luthen wants to confirm he's all right. Kleya's like, "Absolutely not. We can't do this." But then he tells her to keep listening. Connor, do you have any opinions on this camera shot? Because he tells her, "Hey, you keep listening," and she just looks displeased. The camera lingers for a bit. Did you have any thoughts about that interaction?
So I don't know if it's going to be as like insightful as like it should be, but when I saw this exchange, I was like, yeah, she's doing exactly what I thought. She is being a awesome, like completely loyal, and that did not go well for us. She was being completely loyal, and she was checking him because he's like, "Oh, well, go send out a message." She's like, "No, we have no cover here." Again, she was being really good, but then whenever she was like, I think this might be later, but she's like, "I'm just gonna go get a drink. It's recording." Like, because I'm being hypercritical, I was like, "Huh, is that a slight?" I don't know. Like right now, she is giving me no bad vibes. Apart from now, I just have lost all trust in her. But she hasn't done anything to like make me be like, she's a traitor.
Oh, but we're watching. Aaron?
Yes.
Skylar or Aaron, any thoughts on Kleya?
I think she does a really good job of keeping Luthen's emotions in check when things get dicey. While he is very like plan oriented and can keep himself in check, there's times where he's like, "I need to know the answer now," and Kleya's like, "No, that's stupid." And I love that about her character.
Good. Aaron?
I definitely think it's interesting because I don't know that we've ever really fully seen. Like, I feel like in season 1 you see it a little bit where she kind of checks him, but like this scene definitely felt like she's in charge and he's not in charge, even though we know it's the other way around, you know? Like, she definitely felt like she was taking the lead in this situation and, you know, kind of being like, "I'll tell you when it happens," you know?
There's that one scene when he's in the shop and he says something like, "You're being too careful" or something, and she's like, "And you're slipping," and I was like, and that felt like she started to kind of take control of being serious. So yeah, we're watching her, but we'll see.
Yeah, she really is. She's such a good, like, I mean, that's who you would want as your number two, like somebody who is willing to look at you and be like, hey, like I understand you're worried, but you need to understand now is not the time for us to make contact. We have to protect ourselves. And I just think that if I had to have a number two, like watching my back, that's who I would want. Somebody willing to tell me when I need to, take a beat and calm down. And she is that person for him, which I really like.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's great. I think. Blame Aaron on that one, but I think she's great. So then we go to Mineral. Bix and Will, they're working on moisture evaporators. Sorry, aka what we see the Skywalkers working on in the original Star Wars. And she gets it to work. Will, he has a girl. What's her name? Bila, who's interested in him. She's always getting him water, and he seems to be embarrassed by that for some reason. Which, again, hey man, you're gonna have to, just stay hydrated. But we find out that they are toolies. I'm guessing they don't really translate that. I'm guessing that means like migrant workers. But then we see this ship in the sky, and we find out Bix is very not happy about that development. It seems Imperial. She seems to be afraid of what might be happening with that ship.
I interpreted toolies as like they were illegals on the planet. So I took that a little bit of a different way.
Well, I took it a different way because they say like, well, others, like they said, other toolies have like visas. So I was thinking, like, if toolies can have visas, then they can't be illegal immigrants, if that made sense. So that's the way I took it. Could be wrong. I will get to, of course, one of the bigger part that we were probably hitting on is we leave this and we get to the random planet where Cassian can fly. He flew there, can't land, but he just kind of drops the ship and he's supposed to meet our friend Porco. Porco is not there, and we actually get to meet the dueling banjo knuckleheads, is what I've called them, of Gertis and Barty. And I feel like everyone here is going to have plenty of fun opinions on Gertis and Barty. So Gertis is the one that puts the threats on. He said, "Drop the gun, you're surrounded by 15 people." And what is Barty? He basically says, "You're always doing stuff wrong." Oh, you had to tell him how many people there are around him? And I love the line from Gertis. It's like, I knew you would do this. It's like they just are fighting consistently. Like these guys are just absolutely at odds with each other, and you can tell from the very beginning it's not going to be it's not going to work out too well in this situation. Any thoughts initially with the dueling banjo idiots? With Gertis and Barty. Gertis being the blonde guy, Barty being the dark-haired guy.
I feel like I don't really have like an opinion like on either of them, other than like they're just so dysfunctional. Like from the second we meet them, they're just so dysfunctional. You know.
You are 100% right. They are they are disaster. And we'll get through. Let's jump over to the Malthine Divide, and we'll come back to them. So the Malthine Divide, we get to see who do we get to see, Aaron, for the first time in Andor?
The Malthine Divide.
We get to see our meeting with all the Imperials at the Malthine Divide.
Oh, Krennic.
Yes, Orson Krennic. Where's Orson Krennic from, Aaron?
The movie. Rogue One.
Yes, and what is he specifically in charge of? Skylar.
Building the Death Star.
Yes, absolutely. So we get to see the reprisal. I believe it's Ben Mendelsohn is the actor who is in the Marvels. He plays Talos, which is one of the Skrulls. But we get to see him come back.
Oh, we got absolutely destroyed.
And he is in a ghost. He's talking about how this is a ghost meeting. No one knows who scheduled this. Any droids that came, their minds will be wiped. Superiors don't even know about this. He drops some names. Governor Tarkin, who we famously see in Rogue One, and also who we see in the original New Hope. He also says Colonel Yularen. Does anyone know Colonel Yularen? I did not look this one up. If you don't, maybe this is a chance for someone to look it up. But Colonel Yularen is name drop. He said they will be told by the Emperor at the time of his choosing. So, again, this probably makes sense for Rogue One, right? Because Tarkin finds out about, what's going on and then tries to take over, or does take over. The group has been assembled by Krennic. This is he calls it the tightest of closed circles. And breaches in security will be brought to the Emperor himself. Who do we see in the crowd? We get to see not only Partagaz, but Dedra Miro is in the inner circle. And we get to see the Great Valleys of Ghorman infomercial is what I call it. This very retro-based infomercial about Ghorman. A system that's known for what, Connor?
For like the silk of the...
I'm going to say you said the silk of the spiders, and you would be correct. Yes, the silk, it's a twill, it's a luxury fabric they make from the spiders on Ghorman. They have, does anyone remember how they are woken up? How the spiders are woken up?
It's like a big horn, right?
The traditional Ghorman Valley horn, which I wrote down gives Riccola vibes. I don't know if anyone else felt that way. It's just a very and Riccola seemed to be necessary. But not only are they Ghorman spiders, they are Gorlectopods, and there are 40 billion of them on this planet, which sounds terrifying because they are not small spiders. They are the size of your hand.
I did have so many Harry Potter references in this scene. Like when the spiders, I literally just went to Ron. I was like, I don't like spiders. And I just started laughing to myself. And then there was like, when I saw them all sitting around the round table, for some reason, I talked like Molly Weasley, and I was like, where have you been? Like,
yes.
They got their minds wiped, the droids, so they can't tell you where they've been.
I don't know.
And I was just laughing to myself. Sorry.
No, you're perfect. You are absolutely perfect. They did anyone find out Colonel Yularen?
Yes. We see him on the Death Star. He actually switches from being an admiral in the Navy to being ISB agent on the Death Star. That's why he's in white. He's the old guy with the white mustache.
Oh, yeah. If I had my camera, you'd see his minifigure from my Lego Death Star. So cool. Very good. Also, you'd see Orson Krennic. He has a sick white cape on my Legos. But okay, so yeah, they have over on Ghorman, they have Webberies, they have 9 provinces that work together to make this material, or kind of spool this material that's sold in Palmo, which is their capital city. It's specified to be very peaceful, very elegant, and there's a lot of Ghorman pride. So they're setting the stage to Krennic's line of Ghorman is of great interest for the Empire.
I also love the what did you call it? The
Dueling Banjos of Idiots, or are you talking about
the video that he showed, that Krennic showed?
Oh, sorry, it was our infomercial. It is the
infomercial. My favorite part was seeing all the inner circle like looking at each other like, is he showing us the right video? Like, what are we doing? Like, why are he showing us Ghorman? Like, I understand where we get our clothes from. I found that hilarious. The panning of like showing their faces and no one wanting to be like, why are you showing us this? Because they're all intimidated. I found that really funny.
Yeah, they were all, I mean, most of them are very, it seems to be very confused, right?
Yes.
We get to see the Empire's Dream of, Skylar, do you remember the Empire's Dream, or the Emperor's Dream, I'm sorry?
I missed it.
It is, anyone remember? I feel like this is a very big thing that I thought you knew, I thought you talked about, Skylar. Energy independence.
Yeah, having control over it, yeah.
Yes, he wants to be completely energy independent. Do you know what kind of power the Emperor wants? Also a great callback.
Is it unlimited power?
Unlimited power! Yeah. Yes, that is what he wants. So he makes a big deal. That was a Steve Rogers. I understood that reference type of thing that I got from I got from that scene that he says he wants unlimited power. One thing I note, because Krennic says, I met with the Emperor. This is one small subpoint I thought. I always wish we could see the meetings with the Emperor and these people in the Empire. Like, we saw it in the prequels. We saw him before he was the Emperor. But I'd love to see, like, these kind of level meetings. What does he look like? What does he talk about? Like, we never really get to see that. Does anyone else ever think about, like, those interactions?
I had the same thought when they were talking about the Emperor Durkis when I was watching today. I was like, after the prequels, the Emperor just, like, kind of doesn't exist until the very end. And
not just, like, oh, he comes back for episode... No. I don't know if he's in... I know he's not in episode 4. I don't think he's in episode 5. I could be wrong about that one. But he's definitely in episode 6. And
I don't know that we do see him in episode 5, but we might.
Man, we'll have... My research is definitely lacking. But... yeah, so I just always wish we could see more of, like, these interactions and what he talks about so much so. But they talk about Ghorman, and what do they want from Ghorman? They want the mineral calcite in some form, and it's very specific because they need to coat the reactor lenses with it. So I guess very important for energy is this calcite. Does anyone know anything about this calcite before this episode? It's not something I remembered.
Yeah, I never heard of it before.
No.
Well, it seems that they're planning to take over Ghorman if they cannot find an alternative to this calcite, and they would have to gouge mine to get it, which would cause the potential collapse of the planet. So there's some people that are like, that would be like 9 cities, 800,000 Ghormans gone. And Krennic was like, relocation would be ideal, but we're planning for alternatives. Doesn't seem to care that much. I don't think he really cares about relocation. I don't know what you guys think, but he definitely seems to be, kind of dismissing it. And then we get, talk about Harry Potter references. Seems like this would be a department. We get D. Shambo and Nisus Osar from the Ministry of Enlightenment. Did you guys think, what on earth are we talking about when they announced these guys? Because I was thinking we were in the wrong universe. I was thinking we are definitely in the Harry Potter universe.
I loved how confident these guys were.
They were ready. They were no doubt ready to roll. And they are basically, Aaron, can you explain what these guys are? Basically, the Ministry of Enlightenment, what they are?
They are the Star Wars version of Finance Bros, like the marketing team.
Yes.
Propagandists.
The propaganda machine is basically what they are, and they start immediately, and they have high energy. They seem to have taken a bump of something, because they go in and they say, all right, guys, and they talk about the story of Gore rejecting Imperial inspections like they're better than everyone, and they're like, we made that story. We told it. We kind of cultivated it. We started it. We stopped it. And then they start talking about how they can make Gore seem unpleasant. They're like, the spiders on Gore, they're so unpleasant. They're scary. They keep to themselves. Kind of like the Ghormans themselves, how they mock the protocol. And, I mean, they get really, really into this situation. Skylar, what did you think about the propaganda machine?
You can't have an empire without a propaganda machine.
And you are correct. They have a whole ministry on enlightening us of this propaganda, theoretically.
The Ministry of Magic, if you will.
The Ministry of Magic. Yeah, that's what it felt like. So then we see Krennic stops them, and we actually get to see different sub-conversations as they break. So we're obviously talking about how can we make Ghorman look worse so we could take them over. So then we have some different sub-conversations. The larger gentleman, he's like, why don't we just stage a plague or a natural disaster, and that'll get away? And everyone's like, well, the guy he's speaking to is like, we tried to run that. It gets unpredictable. My hot take, if we remember, we used to always do hot takes. My hot take for the episode, this larger gentleman is 100% going to die. I think he is going to be someone in that room is dying because they're going to say something to someone that they shouldn't have. And I think it's going to be this guy. I think he is going to be absolutely like killed mercilessly in front of everyone else. And that's my hot take. He's going to do something wrong. The Emperor is going to flip out because he said something about it to someone, and he dies. That's my hot take. I don't know if anyone thought much about this guy, but that is my hot take for him.
You talking like Dr. Evil chair kind of like, or are you thinking like in the field?
No, not in the field. Like they're gonna do like they might just. I don't know if it's gonna be as bad as Dr. Evil chair, but they might just shoot him at the next meeting.
Watch him be like the leak, so he'll be the example or something.
Yeah, I think he is going to leak something, and I think it will not go well. Like that is my opinion. Anyway, then we see Partagaz talking about the drilling tech, and they find out drilling is going to happen next week, but they're actually building a new armory in Palmo, which is the capital city, and Partagaz seemed quite shocked by this. Did anyone understand why he's so shocked? I didn't know much.
Because it didn't go through approval, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was nobody was aware of this. Now, granted, he was in direct talks with the Emperor, but like, there's just been no information on this. This was kept this hush. I mean, this seems like a huge undertaking, and it's starting tomorrow.
And he's the head of the ISB, so you'd think any type of information he would know what it was.
True.
Yeah. I also think we've seen from him that he's like, if there's one thing he is, it's like by the book, you know? Mm-hmm. Like everything goes through the proper channels and everything. And so he's probably almost kind of like taken back and offended that like this is happening and he doesn't know about it.
He wasn't in the room while it was being planned.
Right.
Oh, yeah. That's a callback. No one else was in the room where it happened, Connor.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought you were referencing, but I was like, man.
This man is Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
Partagaz, Alexander Hamilton. The connection is uncanny. He probably kind of looks like him. That'll be our thumbnail. Perfect. And then we see Krennic and Dedra. So he says she's kind of hanging out by the window, quiet. He said, I heard you learn quickly, and he personally requested her and said not everyone would have recovered from an incident like Ferric. So my question is, what does he mean by this? What do you think the word is in the ISB and around about this? Like, what is the big deal about Ferric, in your opinion? I'll start with Aaron.
I think it was probably, like, obviously we don't see that because that's the end, and then we take a full year's jump into the future, like, so we don't see the aftermath. But I think it was definitely would have been seen as, like, a massive failure because they were supposed to be there, like, basically to catch one guy and to suppress this, like, funeral. And the funeral ends up being, like, hundreds of people, and it turns into basically a bloodbath, and they don't catch the guy. So, like, everything about it was like a complete failure on her end.
Yeah, wow. Not to mention it, but yeah, now that I think about it, she sucks. That's what I'm getting out of this. You're right, though. And it's not to mention, like, they were going for Cassian, and it wasn't like he didn't show up because they didn't know for sure he would. They saw him. They knew he showed up, and he still got away. So I found that to be... You're probably right. Like, I didn't know how wide scale the situation would be on, like, what they thought, but yeah, I would say I guess it probably was a pretty big deal, but we don't get to see the fallout from that, and obviously she has not fallen out of favor in the ISB. You know, she's still there. They didn't even talk about, like, a demotion or anything like that, so I don't know. What did you guys think, Connor and Skyler?
For me, I'll go real quick. I thought it was an interesting conversation, but for me, I think there's something more going on here. I don't know if there's a relation between these two, or there's like some like relationship tension, like they have a history or not. But I picked up on something there, and I could just be like, no, there's nothing there. But for me, I'm like, I think there's more to play here, and I wouldn't be surprised if like she is as devoted to him, to Krennic, as that other guy, I can't remember his name, is devoted to her.
Partagaz?
Like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of how it plays, because when they were having that conversation, he seemed like he requested her, but I think he requested her because she's obviously going to be devoted. But I think there's something there. I don't know what though.
Yeah, let me finish the scene, and then we can talk more about it, because I do think I picked up on something, and I could be wrong. But Dedra, she claims, "Oh, I'm forming an opinion on this anti-Ghorman propaganda," and Krennic says, "BS." He said, "You think you're hard to read? Get over that, because you're not. I know you've had a plan. You've had a plan since before I even finished talking. So tell me." And she says, "Propaganda will only get you so far. You need an insurgence to basically to point as tangible evidence of why the Empire is needed there." She knows that rebellion is critical for the Empire to improve instead of no threat at all. And this kind of gets back to what she talked about in season 1. Like, she is always on the lookout for rebellion while other people just want to pretend it's not there. My big opinion, because when they first started showing her, I think my guess is that she is actually Ghorman. I think she's from Ghorman. I think that's why, like, maybe she hesitated a little. I think that could come out. That is my opinion. I could be way off, but that's where I think that she hesitated a little, or is kind of a little bit off on this at the beginning. Is I think she's from Ghorman. Could be wrong. Skylar, any thoughts on this interaction with Krennic and Dedra?
I didn't get that much into it, other than she obviously has been working really hard to get back in a decent status, because, like you said, Ferrix was real bad on her, and I think she's just been nose to the ground grinding to get back in good graces in the ISB.
That's fair. Yeah, so that's the end of where we are with the Malthine Divide. Let's go back to, I call it Random Planet, and we get to see Cassian and the dueling band of idiots. So we see Porco's ship has been trashed. Porco's gone. And they, Gertis asked Cassian, he said, "Who are you?" Barty is like, he acts like that's such a stupid question. I was like, I don't know. Seems like a legit first question to ask someone you don't know is, "Who are you?" But then they pull a gun on him, and they claim Porco shot at them. He tried to run. They're insinuating he's dead. I don't know if I believe that. But Andor talks about the ship that they stole was supposed to be for the rebellion. Apparently, who these knuckleheads know nothing about any sort of rebellion, which, again, I just facepalm the entire time I'm watching these guys. But as they're figuring these things out, we get this genius, aka Rika, the girl who claims Andor is lying because she found a helmet. So he's obviously a Imperial pilot. And I'm like, he's been saying over and over he is not. He stole the ship. And she's like, I found a helmet. He's definitely a pilot. I'm like, he literally said he stole the ship. He couldn't have stole a helmet. Like, she seems to think that's like this biggest gotcha moment. I'm like, this woman is an idiot. I don't know. The goofballs then can't figure out the Tie Avenger. They think Rika can fly it. Andor's like, don't touch that. Don't touch that. And then the one guy pops in at the end. He's like, is there any food in this ship? And they yell at him for that. I just think they're very rude. Like, they're like, as Aaron said, they're chaotic from the very beginning. They don't have a clue what they're doing. They're trying to figure out what they want to do. Then you get basically Team Gertis or Team Barty. Do you guys have an opinion on Team Gertis or Team Barty? Do you have are you a fan of either side right now? Gertis being the blonde guy, Barty being the dark-haired fellow.
I think they're all a bunch of idiots.
Yep, I agree with
I
Skylar.
agree. I think the dark-haired one is more of an idiot, but I think they're all pretty incompetent. But, you can tell that the dark-haired one is, a problem.
Yeah, he always has some interesting lines, because Barty's like, we're going to have Cassian teach her to fly, and if not, we'll kill him. He said he can't teach her if he's dead, and then Barty goes, everything with you is negative! Like, hey man, he's just being real. But yeah, anything Gertis says, Barty is like, it's like the exact opposite. He could say the sky's blue. He's like, no, it's green. Like, dude, just get along with him. While those idiots work, you do get to see Andor, what I wrote down as sow the seeds of discord. Because that's all he does for the last half of this entire episode. Is just talking about, like, he's talking to our friend Crab, which, again, Harry Potter reference. He said, hey, we can get away. And he's like, don't make me shoot you. It's like, do they trust you or do they think you're just stupid? And I'm like, he's just absolutely egging on Crab. Like, and, he might have been right. They might have thought he actually was stupid. But Barty, we get this conflict between these two factions. Barty thinks that Gertis doesn't trust anyone. Barty's brother might have dumped them and ran away, like defected. But apparently they all know what really happened. So there's drama. There's tea going on between these two groups. Apparently Barty's brother might have defected. Gertis thinks that Maya's dead and watched her die, and he tried to save her, but they don't believe that. Do we know? So they are from the Maya Pei Brigade. Does anyone know who Maya is?
Negative.
I don't know.
Negative.
Okay. So I don't know if we'll ever get this figured out because we don't meet her. They think she's dead. Some people do, some people don't. And then Andor finds out they're from the Maya Paper Game. Barty blames Gertis immediately, even though he was sitting right next to him the entire time. But it was Crab. And then Andor sows the seeds of discord by like, hey, you got to be careful who you tell things to, like, unlike this idiot. And Crab is like, I'm going to punch this dude now. I'm like, gosh, it's just a disaster. Andor again sows the seeds of discord. Like, is there food out there? And they're like, there's beast. And then he goes, as my favorite line of the episode, so who's really in charge here? And then the turret just goes off, and you can tell they have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what's actually happening. There seems to be so much left that we don't know about. Do you guys have any expectation we're going to get payoff on Porco, or what happened with Maya, or what's going on with this guy's brother? Do you have any expectation we're going to figure this out?
Sounds like a Connor question to me, because me and Scott both know if we do or don't.
I abstain.
Okay, yeah. To this one, this is just really confusing me. Like, what are the odds that the guy that he's Porco, the guy that we're waiting on, he gets mobbed by these survivors of this raid that went bad? Mm-hmm. And I just was thinking this whole time, and maybe this was stupid, I thought this might have been survivors from the sacrificial people. You remember that guy that was sacrificed in season 1 because the ISB
Krieger.
Yeah, Krieger. I didn't know if this was some like maybe a Krieger like captain and like her squad that survived it, and like they were the remnants of this betrayal. But that must have been wrong. But
yeah, that was because they didn't take anyone. Lonnie says even in that, like, no survivors. But so it's a different faction of a rebellion who's apparently getting money from, getting support from Luthen, but they have no idea what's going on, which again shows that they're just idiots. But no, I think this is a whole new group. Obviously, we don't know anything about these people, but they seem to be a disaster.
I think it also shows us that the rebellion is not made up of all kinds of studs. Sometimes you got some duds in there. Because this squad does not seem like the A team.
Yeah, this is not our A tier. This is not who we are sending for our biggest missions, to say the least. You are correct. Yeah, so they are split. They are disrupted. We'll come back to them at the end, but you can see Andor just easily poking holes in them. Like just a few sentences, and they are starting to turn on each other, even more so than they already were. Which I think he enjoys a lot, just poking these guys and just making them like dance monkey dance. So we go to Minarao, back again with Brasso. He gets back after on his speeder, and B said, he's been waiting. He's like, well, I'm back. And he's like, well, not for you. I'm like, hey, B,
Yeah.
respect him. He was the one that took care of you all that time. How would you be a little bit nicer to Brasso? But they're talking about the ship that came was doing an Imperial supply census, so checking what's coming in. What they don't know is if they're checking the visas on people. So, of course, if that happens, they're going to be in trouble. The end of the scene goes with Will is going to check on Andor. Do you guys notice what's by the phone when he goes to check for Andor to see if he's heard anything?
I think I saw a picture of Marva, right?
Yes, picture Marva. She still hangs on, still there guiding them, even when she's not alive on this Earth, or on that planet. So, yeah, I just thought that was a neat little thing. And then before we get back to the unnamed planet, we get to Chandrila, and Luthen. He's concerned for Andor. They know he's got off Sinar, but Kleya hasn't heard from him or Porco. And she said, well, you go listen. I'm done. Like, she seems very much like I'm tired of being by the ship all day. And then we get Perrin and Davo having a discussion. The boys is a good act. So there's a deep, the camera angle on this, it lingers on Perrin for a while. And then brings into him. I don't know if that meant anything, but it stayed for a while. And they talk about, Perrin's like, is your son tough enough? And he said, not even half, right? He's like, not even half. He's like, he'll either learn or be led. And I wonder if he's speaking about himself, like Perrin, like he marrying a strong-willed lady. Like, are you going to be led or are you going to learn? And I don't know if Perrin is learning or being led.
Yeah, I agree. I thought this was foreshadowing because I did notice the camera as well. I feel like I don't know if Perrin said like to be led or to lead, but I thought it was the other guy. And then it was almost like when that guy said it, Perrin was like, well, crap, I'm being led. And he's like, I've always been kind of resentful of how strong my wife is. And I was like, this might be the part where he takes a more active role and watch him like start to become like a true thorn in the side of his wife and actually cause some true harm to the rebellion.
Oh, what a take. Interesting. Oh gosh, I hope he just keeps sucking and being an idiot.
That seemed like a wake-up statement to him. And he's like, wait, yeah. I'm
Interesting.
being led.
Yeah, he is. We actually then see Luthen, and we got 3 minutes left. So we have Luthen talking to a man that was at Steergard Naval Yard, and he's very interested. Does anyone remember what how Andor was involved at Steergard?
He stole the Imperial nav unit there.
Yes, the Star Path system. So
I didn't even catch that.
this guy might have sucked at his job, for all we know. Now, that's been a year, so you never know. And then we get an interaction with Kleya and Vel. Kleya just pounding drinks. Vel, incompetent, like always. She's like, why are you here? Well, he's a client. She's like, are we acting like we just met each other? And she's like, no, you've been at the shop. Vel, what are you talking about? Vel, just an absolute disaster, a liability. But Kleya says, we're just two single women surveying the prospects. And then there's an awkward silence. Is this like Kleya making a move at Vel? Because
I got that. That's what I took from that scene. It seems like some subtle flirting going on.
I can't imagine that. I don't know why. I feel like Vel has annoyed her all this time. Why would she be interested? But that's neither here nor there. We got a minute and a half, so I'll fly through. We get Tay time. So we get this camera angle when Tay and Mon start talking, and it's like they're behind vertical bars. Did anyone have an idea of what that meant? I didn't. Maybe like a prison, like they're in a prison, but I don't know.
That's kind of what I assumed.
There was something with that camera angle, but he talks about it's been a rough few days, business going south, his marriage is falling apart, which apparently Mon didn't know. But the biggest thing was he wanted to discuss the Foundation, which apparently doesn't have a huge problem, but something that is apparently serious enough that he needs to talk about. I don't know what that would be, but I know it's there. And then we get Lita has had her first fight because this child, she calls him, won't hold her hand. And I'm like, what a interesting 14-year-old problem. It's like, he won't hold my hand. I'm like, hey man, you're getting married. You're gonna have to figure this one out. Anyway, I wish we could linger on that more, but we get to the unnamed planet. The fight raises, and we have a mutiny of who's actually in charge. Gerda said he was always Maya's number 2. She's dead, but Barty and the crew seems to think Maya's not dead. Barty's brother may have stole the ship, deserted them. And then Crab gets really angry because they called him out like, oh, you were hiding in this bunker. And he shoots this girl. And then they shoot him. And then it is just lasers going off, a lot going on. R.I.P. Crab. That's the end of the episode. We'll have more to talk about in episode 2. Thank you all for watching.